Single mother's amazing plea at train station exposed an incredible truth that transformed their lives forever. Rain poured mercilessly over the bustling Chicago train station, a relentless reminder of the day's wait. Mary shifted uncomfortably, her soaked shoes squelching with each tired step. She glanced at the clock, anxiety gnawing at her heart. Lily's train was late again. With 2 jobs to juggle, every minute wasted felt like a ticking bomb. She instinctively hugged her coat tighter around her body, yet the chill of uncertainty seeped deeper. In the midst of her own frantic thoughts, a sharp argument shattered her moment of quiet. A couple nearby erupted in furious tones. "We can't keep doing this, Rachel. I'm tired of struggling." The sharp desperation cut through the air like a blade, echoing her own hidden battles. Mary's heart quickened as she absorbed their pain. They spoke of dreams deferred, bills unpaid, and the crushing weight of unfulfilled aspirations. The undercurrent of their fight resonated painfully deep in her chest. She could feel their desperation mirror her own, when just last week she had emptied her savings to cover Lily's school trip. Against her better judgment, Mary stepped closer. "I hear you, I really do," she said, her voice trembling but determined. People around her slowly paused, caught in the magnetic tension. "I'm a single mom, and every day I work double shifts just to keep my head above water. Just last month, I had to choose between paying rent and buying food, and still, I paint." The authenticity of her voice drew gasps from nearby commuters who suddenly realized the everyday struggles hiding behind closed doors. With each word Mary spoke, the tension seemed to draw tighter. The couple listened, their anger fading into a collective understanding of shared human suffering. Mary took a breath and pushed through tears lurking at the corners of her eyes. "I dream of being an artist, pouring my heart out onto canvas. But who has the time when you're just trying to survive?" The couple nodded, captivated. "You have to do it," the woman urged, her voice steady. "Your dreams matter. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." With those words ringing in her ears, Mary felt a glimmer of hope collide with the harsh reality of her life. The thought of pursuing art ignited both fear and determination in her heart. Could she really chase a dream she had buried deep? Yet the logistics of her life cast a long shadow. Nights spent waiting tables and rising at dawn for her second job felt insurmountable. How could she find time to paint? To feel, to express? The vulnerability of stepping into that world threatened to unravel the fragile balance she fought so hard to maintain. Just as she began to navigate this new possibility, dread settled in her gut. Lily's sudden cough erupted in her thoughts. The chill ran deeper than rain could penetrate. The looming fear of her daughter's health crash-landed amidst Mary's gentle dream. A hospital, sterile and cold, sat waiting in her mind as if it whispered her worst fears. Her heart ached as she grabbed hold of a protective instinct. What was the cost of her dreams if, at this moment, her daughter needed her unwavering attention? Torn between longing and love, Mary stood at a precipice, every choice fraught with uncertainty. Each drop of rain outside echoed her racing thoughts. What would she become if she chose to step into the light, away from the shadows of survival? As the rain continued to patter, Mary's choices blurred, leaving a sense of quiet desperation in its wake. Aching for resolution. The moment the couple's encouragement echoed in her mind, Mary felt the stark contrast between her dreams and her pressing reality. The conversation had unearthed a simmering desire, yet the gravity of her responsibilities only intensified. Each breath she took seemed to signal a choice she couldn't yet make, casting a looming shadow over her aspirations. Mary's consciousness slowly shifted to the tangible world surrounding her. The station buzzed with movement as commuters rushed past her, oblivious to the emotional turmoil within. It was as if life continued unimpeded, while she stood on the precipice of her own evolution. She shook her head, grounding herself in the here and now. "Focus," she whispered under her breath, willing herself to suppress the rising tide of hopelessness. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, a reminder of blinking notifications. It was a message from her boss about schedule changes. Her stomach knotted at the thought of lost hours. There was little room for extra shifts, and yet the rent was looming. Her fingers trembled slightly as she typed a reply, all the while grappling with thoughts spiraling between necessity and desire. Should she plead for more hours despite how it muffled her artistic voice, or should she carve out space to explore the passion that lay dormant in her? As she stepped back from the platform's edge, the couple's presence remained with her, like ghosts challenging her to confront her own limitations. The realization crashed down like the rain outside: the world would never stop demanding more of her. No matter how hard she worked, opportunities seldom appeared unless she sought them out. Maybe, just maybe, she could find a way to coax life into her bleak routine. With renewed conviction, Mary decided to reach out to the local arts community. There were small galleries she had only ever dreamed of showcasing her work in. Might they have space for a single mom with a passion? Perhaps they could even use her skills in the form of art classes or community events. The thought of sharing her journey through art felt like a stirring flame against the consuming dampness of her current existence. After Lily's train finally arrived, Mary scooped her up into a warm hug, seeking solace in her daughter's presence. "How was your day, sweetheart?" she asked, reining in her emotions. Lily's eyes sparkled, speaking volumes about the joys of childhood amidst struggles. It dawned on Mary that by sharing her artistic journey, she could inspire Lily to embrace her passions too. If she wanted her daughter to dream big, then wasn't it crucial for Mary to set an example worth following? That night, as they sat together at the kitchen table painting, Mary allowed herself to get lost in the colors, her strokes guided by instinct. She forgot the clock, drowned out the critical voices of doubt, and only paid attention to the laughter shared with Lily. Those vibrant splashes became a lifeline, reminding her of the joy buried beneath the daily grind. But as dawn broke over another gray Chicago morning, reality rushed back, resuming its familiar grip. The weight of decisions loomed yet again, an unavoidable reminder that a leap toward artistry might cost not just her precious time but also their financial stability. Standing by the window, Mary watched the world wake up, each person setting off with purpose. Her heart raced with a frightening realization: a pivotal decision was soon at hand. She knew it wouldn't simply be about painting, it would be about committing to a new path that not only honored her but also offered Lily a brighter future. Was she brave enough to step forward and leave the familiar behind? The answer loomed like a question mark over her evolving thoughts, as the echoes of the previous day's sentiments reverberated in her mind. It was time to confront her deepest fears head-on. The moment to face both the inevitable sacrifices and the unexpected possibilities was fast approaching. Would she summon the courage to carve her own path? Mary's first step seemed monumental, a blend of excitement and paralyzing fear. She sat at her small kitchen table, her laptop open to a blank page. Seeking inspiration, she recalled the couple's unwavering belief in her talent. What would it look like to put herself out there? With a gulp, she opened her email app, determined to craft a message to the nearby gallery she had long admired. "Dear gallery owner," she typed, her hands hovering over the keyboard as doubt surged. What if they didn't reply? What if they laughed? She took a deep breath, grounding herself in the heat of her ambition. Over the past years, every rejection she faced had chipped away at her confidence. But now, there was something starker: an undeniable need for change, not just for her sake but for Lily's. Instead of perfection, she focused on authenticity. She poured her heart into the email, expressing her passion for art, her journey as a single mother, and her desire to give back through workshops. With each word, she felt the embers of her creativity reignite. After reviewing the draft, she realized it wasn't mere pleading, it was a proposal woven with an urgency to inspire both herself and others. A brave act of self-advocacy. With a final breath, Mary hit send. In that moment, she felt a mix of release and trepidation. Yet, she knew there was no turning back. The act itself was liberating. She had taken a velvety curtain and pulled it aside, allowing light to pierce through the shadows of self-doubt. The following days were an excruciating wait. At work, she went through the motions, her mind racing between her responsibilities and the possibilities that lay ahead. One evening, she found herself in a quiet corner of the station, absent-mindedly sketching the trains as they thundered in and out. The rhythmic sound somehow resounded in her heart, each thud of the engine feeling like a clock ticking down to an unknown opportunity. Then, one afternoon, her phone lit up with a notification that sent her heart racing, an email from the gallery. Her pulse quickened, realizing the stakes. Their reply contained an invitation for a meeting. They wanted to see her work. A mixture of elation and fear surged through her. It wasn't merely an acknowledgement, it felt like a door crackling open towards her aspirations. But clarity soon seeped in, and with it, the lingering doubts returned. Would she be enough to stand alongside established artists? As she prepared for the meeting, anxiety turned her stomach into knots. She had to confront her palpitating fear of inadequacy. What if she failed to impress? Mary gathered her courage, choosing to see the meeting as an opportunity to share her story rather than to prove herself. If she was to raise Lily in a world where authenticity mattered, she must embody that very principle. It spurred a personal revelation. It was time to finish the pieces she had set aside for too long, time to work on her art with intention, knowing she had something unique to offer. As she filled the blank canvas with color and emotion, every brushstroke echoed her mantra, "I am enough." The process stirred a blend of anxiety and excitement. Each creation solidified her resolve. She was no longer merely existing but daring to thrive amid vulnerabilities. With the meeting approaching, feelings of uncertainty continued to whirl within her, yet she clung to the dream that had awakened inside. Would her truth resonate as she entered that gallery space? A new dawn began to break, and with it, a clarity emerged just beyond her reach. Would she seize it, knowing full well that every brave step forward might also reveal unmarked vulnerabilities to confront? The time for transformation was nigh, yet the foreshadowing of her decision haunted her thoughts. What if this journey became a pivotal test of not just her ambitions but of her resilience itself? Mary arrived at the gallery with her heart hammering against her chest. The old brick building loomed before her, a mixture of history and modern artistry, but to her, it felt like a fortress of judgment. She adjusted her bag, ensuring her portfolio was secure. With each step towards the entrance, she reflected on the weeks leading up to this moment. The sleepless nights spent crafting her pieces and the undulating wave of self-doubt that had become part of her daily existence loomed over her like a storm cloud ready to break. The door swung open, and the soft glow of gallery lights spilled out, beckoning her inside. She hesitated for a heartbeat, taking a deep breath that tasted of both exhilaration and dread. Walking through the threshold, the scent of fresh paint enveloped her, growing more alive with every step she took. The gallery was sprawling, filled with creativity and courage that surrounded her like an invisible embrace. As she approached the designated meeting area, her stomach tightened visibly. Emotions swirled within her, oscillating between hope and fear. Would her pieces carry the weight of her story? Would they reflect the hidden depths she had fought so hard to acknowledge? The questions flooded her mind, drowning her resolve. The gallery owner emerged, a tall figure with an amiable smile but a sharp gaze. "Mary. It's wonderful to meet you." He extended his hand with confidence, and the warmth of his grip steadied her momentarily. "Thank you for having me," she managed to say, her voice feeling small in the expansiveness of the space. They exchanged small talk that felt like a lifeline thrown in turbulent waters. Yet as their conversation deepened, Mary recognized her responsibility to herself. This wasn't just about showcasing her talent. It was about sharing parts of her life that had shaped her journey, the struggles, the joys, and the moments of sheer vulnerability. When it was time for her to present her work, she felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. Each canvas began to reveal layers of her experiences, a chaotic blend of motherhood, resilience, and the unrelenting quest for identity. She saw the gallery owner's interest shift from casual curiosity to genuine engagement. Every piece had a story. It became easier to speak of the colors and emotions, how each stroke was infused with her longing to inspire other women like her. Then, she noticed something peculiar. His expression shifted when she unveiled her final piece, an abstract representation of a train bursting forth from a dark tunnel into brilliant daylight. It embodied hope, an invitation to break free of past constraints and emerge unapologetically. The gallery owner leaned in closer, intrigued, and for a moment, Mary's heart swelled with a confidence she didn't know she had. "I can feel the pulse of your journey in this one," he remarked, a spark of comprehension dancing between them. "There is something uniquely powerful about how you've captured transition and hope." In that instant, Mary felt a shift within herself. It was no longer about her fear of inadequacy or the shadow of past rejections. It was about transforming pain into something beautiful, sharing that transformation to inspire resilience in others. But just as quickly as that exhilaration came, doubt interjected. She questioned whether her art would hold up alongside the established artists. What if he only said those words to be polite? Fear crept back, but she forced herself to breathe. This was her moment, an opportunity to take ownership of her voice and vision. As the meeting concluded, he asked her what she envisioned next for her art. An unexpected thrill coursed through her. Could this be the beginning? But alongside that excitement, she felt the weight of potential rejection looming ahead. Would the gallery accept her work for display? They said their goodbyes, and Mary pivoted toward the exit, a maelstrom of thoughts swirling with every step. Would she have what it takes to seize this trajectory? Could she truly blend her life experiences with the artistic expression she had so carefully crafted? As she stepped back into the daylight, the world felt both endless and precariously narrow. The gallery door closed softly behind her, echoing in her mind. What awaited her on the other side of success or failure? Would she let fear be the final word, or would she charge ahead, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead? The questions lingered, daring her to confront the truth of her journey. What if she had only begun to uncover her potential? A revelation began to blossom within, but what seeds of transformation would it bear, and how prepared was she to cultivate them? Mary paused on the sidewalk, the gentle hum of the city surrounding her, but the noise faded as her mind raced. The gallery meeting had ignited a fire inside her, yet uncertainty still loomed large. What if this was merely a fleeting moment of optimism? What if she didn't have the resilience to maintain this momentum? Determined to channel the energy she had felt in that moment of recognition, she pulled out her phone. She needed to capture this feeling, to keep it alive. Words tumbled onto the screen in a desperate flow, each one serving as a tether to the moving train within her. The act of writing coupled her tumultuous feelings with purpose and clarity. She penned down her journey, mapping out the struggles, the moments of defeat, and the rebirth she felt through her art. With each word, doubt shrank, replaced by a burgeoning sense of urgency to act on her newfound zeal. Perhaps she should reach out to other artists, share her story in a broader context. She could understand that she wasn't alone in her struggle. Other creatives must face similar crossroads. The idea took root, and before she knew it, she was drafting an email to a small circle of local artists she admired. She proposed a collaborative showcase, a way to voice collective stories through art. As her fingers danced over the keyboard, she felt the discomfort of vulnerability, but it was different this time. It was invigorating, a step toward ownership. Rushing home, she prepared a new piece for the collaboration proposal. This wasn't just another exhibition, it was to be a celebration of resilience. She wanted to intertwine her narrative with theirs, crafting a powerful tapestry of shared experiences. Working late into the night, she blended vibrant colors with expressive brushstrokes, each movement symbolic of unity and strength. Yet, an echo of doubt resurfaced. What if they reject her idea? What if they don't see the value in melding personal narratives through their art? This question tugged at her, but Mary pushed back against it. Rejection was part of the artist's journey, she reminded herself. Besides, wasn't the act of sharing her story an opportunity for others to own theirs? The following morning, her pulse raced as she hit send. That single action felt monumental, yet it opened a floodgate of anxiety. What if no one responded? Would it serve as further evidence of her inadequacy? Breathing deeply, Mary paced her living room, grappling with the storm within. Then she caught sight of her new canvas, vibrant and alive, and a realization dawned. No more hiding. No more letting fear define her path. Determined, she sat down with a sketchpad, beginning to devise a strategic plan for her artistic growth. What if the exhibition failed, but she used it as a platform to refine her skills? Networking with artists could provide insight, guidance, and perhaps even mentorship. With newfound vigor, she structured her day-to-day life more intentionally. Starting with devoting time each morning to paint, she decided to enroll in an online art class focusing on contemporary techniques that had always intrigued her. The thought of further honing her skill electrified her. It was as though she had unlocked a door she had been too afraid to open. Days turned into weeks, and her small circle of artists began to reply positively, expressing excitement about the collaboration. Their plans coalesced into something extraordinary, a group exhibition that would allow them collectively to explore themes of growth through adversity. Yet the closer she got to the date, the more trepidation crept in. The thoughts that sometimes surfaced were like unwelcome visitors. Had she shared too much? What if the world rejected not just her art, but her story? Instead of dwelling on those fears, she devised ways to channel that energy. Moments of doubt fueled her determination to see the project through. As the exhibition day approached, she stood before her final piece, the vibrant representation of a train escaping into the light. It suddenly dawned on her, this wasn't merely a journey. For herself, this was a catalyst for others to open up, to reflect on their stories of resilience. Each brushstroke had become a bridge, linking her experiences to others, inspiring them to share their truths. The day of the exhibition arrived, painted with anticipation and anxiety. Little did she know, the real revelation awaited just around the corner, poised to illuminate her path in ways she could never have imagined. Would she be ready to face the unexpected truths that lay ahead, not just about herself, but about her journey as an artist? As the doors to the gallery swung open, a crowd poured in, and the air crackled with possibility. Mary stood at the threshold of the gallery, her heart pounding as she took in the crowd spilling through the entrance. Each face was a new canvas of intrigue, their eyes flickering with curiosity as they approached her work. The vibrant colors she had meticulously layered now radiated with an energy she had not fully anticipated. This was it, her moment. But beneath the surface of excitement, confusion twisted within her. Was she ready to reveal the fragments of her past to these strangers? Inhaling deeply, she steadied herself. This exhibition wasn't merely about the art, it was about engagement, inviting individuals to reflect on their journeys. With every person who examined her piece, Mary felt a jolt of anxiety. What if they perceived her story differently than she intended? What if they dismissed it? These questions ambushed her confidence, but she fought to focus on her intentions. Each brushstroke, each decision had been purposefully crafted to convey strength, vulnerability, and resilience. As the crowd grew thicker, Mary spotted one of her fellow artists, Leo, making his way toward her. His presence was a comfort, a reminder that they were all in this together. He had struggled visibly with self-doubt, yet had poured his essence into this collaboration as fervently as she had. He grinned, giving a small nod of encouragement and gesturing toward a group forming around her painting. Mary took a tentative step forward, her voice slightly trembling. I wanted to create something that speaks to the shared journey we all navigate, the burdens, and the breakthroughs. As she spoke, she recognized how connected her passion for the project was to her evolving identity as an artist and as a woman. The crowd's reaction was immediately overwhelming. She saw fingers pointing, heard whispered conversations. Intrigued, and yet, terrified, she allowed herself to engage. Each interaction became a lesson in vulnerability. From a woman sharing her struggle with motherhood to a man recounting his battle with loss, Mary listened intently, discovering that the stories unfolding before her were amplifying her own emotional landscape. Despite the warmth of the conversations, a nagging thought pricked at her mind: what if others' experiences overshadowed hers, diluting her significance? She wrestled with this insecurity internally, yet a quiet voice urged her to listen, to embrace the connection forming here. Perhaps it wasn't about her story standing alone, rather, it was about how they intertwined with others, weaving a richer tapestry of experience. As the evening wore on, new revelations surfaced. During a discussion about her piece, an attendee mentioned feeling liberated by the honesty in Mary's work. They shared their struggles, revealing how her art resonated with their own challenges. What if she had never shared her story? Would this connection have blossomed? Fueled by newfound confidence, Mary felt a shift. Her doubts slowly transformed into a willingness to embrace honesty not just in her work but as a principle in her life. This exhibition was a catalyst, uncovering hidden competencies she hadn't fully realized she possessed: empathy, resilience, and the ability to inspire. But the night wasn't over, and as the crowd continued to ebb and flow, she sensed mounting pressure to confront a deeper fear lurking beneath the excitement: the possibility that this sense of connection would dissipate. What if she couldn't maintain this drive once the night came to an end? Just as the gallery's ambience began to settle, Leo approached her once more. "We need to keep this momentum going. Let us plan some workshops, some open discussions. This is only the beginning, right?" His words struck a chord, and anxiety intermingled with anticipation. Realizing the time had come for her to make a choice, Mary felt the weight of the moment close in. Was she prepared to pivot her artistic journey into an ongoing dialogue of growth? Would she step into a role not just as an artist but as a catalyst for transformation amongst those who, like her, were still navigating their paths? With her heart racing, Mary locked eyes with Leo, the question lingering unanswered. The possibilities stretched before her, each one more daring than the last, as the vibrant gallery filled with voices swirled around her, reminding her how fleeting this moment could be and how profoundly it could shape her future. Mary closed her eyes momentarily, seeking clarity amidst the thrumming pulse of the gallery. The vibrant tones of her painting seemed to shimmer, reflecting her internal tumult. Leo's proposition lingered in her mind like a call to adventure. The prospect of workshops and open discussions felt like an invitation to evolve, both as an artist and a person. Yet dread gripped her: what if she stepped into a role that showcased more of her vulnerabilities than she was willing to share? As she pondered the evening's revelations, an idea started to crystallize. This sense of community emerging from her art could form the bedrock of a new chapter not only in her career but in her life. Transforming her doubts into dialogue was a profound challenge, and perhaps it was just what she needed to galvanize her creativity. "Workshops, yes," she replied, her voice firmer now. "Let us create a space for exploration and discussion. It can be as raw and honest as the art we created." A flicker of excitement ignited within her: this could be more than just a fleeting moment. Leo's grin widened, illuminating his face. "Exactly. We can invite others to share their stories. This isn't just about showing art, it's about fostering connections." Yet as they spoke, a shadow of uncertainty crept back. Would people actually want to engage with her on a deeper level? She envisioned potential attendees recoiling from her honesty, or worse, judging her past. The stakes felt higher now that she considered putting herself in a vulnerable position, but perhaps that was where the true growth lay. With this newfound resolve, Mary directed her gaze around the gallery. Each conversation, each moment of openness had chipped away at the walls she had built around herself. The weight of her insecurities began to lift. After all, she had already taken the first step by displaying her art. Now, it was time to share the narrative behind it. "Let us start planning," she said, her determination solidifying. "We can use social media, reach out to our networks." Striking this balance between art and engagement ignited something profound within her. A sense of purpose began to root itself, feeding into the belief that her narrative, intertwined with others, could potentially uplift them. But as Mary threw herself into the planning process, another layer of apprehension appeared. How long could she sustain this momentum? A creeping fear whispered that her capacity for vulnerability might ebb once the thrill of the exhibition faded. She found herself wrestling with the possibility of re-entering the realm of isolation she had fought against so fervently. Days turned into weeks, and Mary immersed herself in every detail of the workshops. Each interaction felt invigorating, a vivid counterpoint to the numbness she often felt while creating in solitude. She documented everything in a sketchbook, detailing not just the logistics but her emotional state as well, and with each brushstroke of ink on paper, she noted her evolution. One particular entry caught her attention, the notion that vulnerability in art could transform into a powerful catalyst for healing. Was it possible that the act of opening up could become her greatest artistic expression? As the date of the workshops approached, her anxiety shifted into anticipation. Yet with each passing day, the looming question gnawed at her: could she truly facilitate others' journeys when her own remained somewhat fraught? The journey she had begun in the gallery confronted her in ways she hadn't anticipated, compelling self-examination in a manner more profound than she imagined. Finally, the night before their first session arrived, and she found herself standing before her painting in quiet contemplation. The colors danced nervously under the flickering dim light, echoing her internal barrage of doubt and excitement. Would she be able to maintain the authenticity that had emerged in the gallery? In that moment, a new voice emerged from within, resolving the juxtaposition of her fears and aspirations: I will not retreat into silence again. The shift was palpable, a clear commitment to not just act but also to live fully. As she turned away from the canvas, Mary felt a resolve coalesce inside of her. This was her moment to again step onto the precipice of vulnerability. And right then, in the quiet of her studio, she realized preparations for the workshop were just the beginning. As the thought served as a launch pad towards her next steps, Mary understood there was still far more to confront. Who would arrive at her workshops, and what secrets, wonders, or burdens would they bring? With the dawn of opportunity echoing in her heart, she couldn't ignore the rising tide of uncertainty. The real challenge awaited just beyond the horizon. Would she emerge triumphant, or would doubt anchor her again? The sun cast a soft glow over Mary's studio the following morning, illuminating her sketchbook where stray thoughts mingled with the raw edges of her ideas. She had left hesitation behind the night before, but now, as she flipped through her notes, anticipation twisted her stomach in subtle knots. She breathed deeply, steadying herself against the surge of uncertainty that accompanied each realization of her upcoming commitment. Hosting the workshop wasn't merely a professional choice, it was an emotional leap into a territory she had largely avoided. Would they see her as credible? Would they resonate with her journey, or merely see the flaws outlined in her past? Determined to channel her anxiety, Mary set the stage. She arranged chairs in a circle, envisioning the shared space that would serve as a gallery for their thoughts and emotions. The act of creating this physical environment took her focus away from the internal unrest, transforming her nerves into something tangible. As she painted the last strokes of her welcoming mural, she felt a flicker of excitement. The deep azure intertwined with vibrant yellows, mirroring her own complexities, an invigorating juxtaposition of doubt and hope. The message became her silent anthem: even in the depths of uncertainty, there exists an array of colors waiting to be embraced. Later that day, as people began to trickle in, her heart raced. Art was meant to be seen. Now, here she stood, ready to expose her vulnerability in front of a gathering of strangers and welcomed acquaintances. The small talk that flitted from person to person felt superficial, a device employed to mask the weight of their shared purpose. "Hi, I'm Mary," she greeted those who approached, her smile wavering between warmth and trepidation. Some nodded politely, while others displayed a glimmer of curiosity in their eyes. This small community, born from the echoes of her silent fears, began to form. As the clock struck the start time, Mary cleared her throat, intentionally drawing upon the grounding sensation of her recent resolve. "Thank you all for coming. I hope this workshop serves as a space where we can share our stories and explore the intricacies of our art. The words spilled out, shaky but tinged with an evolving confidence. The faces around her varied. Some radiant with anticipation, others marked by shadows of hesitation mirrored her own. Yet, the fear of exposure that had paralyzed her in earlier days transformed into something akin to exhilaration. Here was the opportunity to cultivate empathy, each personal story a thread weaving into a larger tapestry of understanding. "Let us begin by introducing ourselves," she suggested, her voice steadier than she anticipated. As each participant spoke about their past and aspirations, vulnerability danced in the air like charged electricity. The narrative spilled forth, raw and revealing. There was honesty in their confessions that compelled Mary to listen objectively. It was a precious moment of solidarity they had created, a departure from the solitary experiences they often endured as artists. Yet, as the workshop burgeoned with energy, there came a critical juncture. One participant, Isabella, disclosed a traumatic experience that colored her perception of art and communication. Silence enveloped the group, drawn taut by the gravity of her revelation. Mary felt the weight heavy on her chest. The burden of her own fears suddenly felt insignificant against the backdrop of Isabella's pain. In that moment, the workshop's purpose became clear. It wasn't merely about art but also about reconciling personal struggles through creative expression. Here lay a profound opportunity for her to lead, not just in skill but in emotional resilience. As she guided the conversation towards how art could facilitate healing, Mary questioned her own readiness. Could she navigate this new terrain, balancing the needs of others with her lingering doubts? The hesitations swirled in her mind, but they were accompanied by insightful revelations. This was an evolution not solely for her participants but for herself as well. Each story presented a mirror, prompting her to confront her vulnerabilities and reflect on the power she possessed to foster change, both in herself and in others. As the session ended, tears mingled with smiles among the participants, and a palpable sense of fulfillment settled in Mary's heart. What began as an endeavor to expose her vulnerabilities transformed into a celebration of shared humanity. Yet, lingering questions followed her home. How could she continue this thread of connection without losing herself? With each passing moment, Mary's path unfurled further. The next workshop beckoned, laden with fresh revelations and the prospect of deeper interactions. What unexpected challenges would arise, and could she consistently act with the same authenticity? The dusk settled, and with it, new uncertainties brushed against her resolve. She prepared for the journey ahead, yet whispered within her was a silent question: what uncharted territory awaited her if she dared to dive deeper? Mary paced the dimly lit studio, the remnants of the workshop echoing in her mind like a melody. The raw exchanges, the cracked open hearts, and the moments of collective silence resonated with her in ways she could hardly grasp. The visceral connection she'd fostered with her participants altered something deep within her, igniting an unfamiliar flame of purpose. Yet, as she cleaned up the paintbrushes and emptied the teacups, doubt clawed back into her thoughts. Was she equipped to bear the emotional weight of others' stories? The lingering images of Isabella's vulnerability pressed against her chest, a reminder that she had taken on more than merely guiding a workshop. She had become a facilitator of healing, wading into the murky waters of shared pain and growth. The churning question emerged again: could she remain anchored while assisting others without sinking? Fatigue settled into her bones, but it was a shared weariness, one that recommended its own kind of solace. She retrieved her sketchbook, flipping past the pages of ideas that had previously felt unworthy. Now they breathed with significance, animated by the voices of those who had bravely revealed their truths. With each stroke of her pencil, she acknowledged her newfound awareness. Art could do more than reflect reality, it could act as a catalyst for understanding and transformation. As she sketched, images of colored chaos emerged on the pages, swirling palettes entwined with shadows depicting fears and bright hues illustrating aspirations. These images trembled at the edges with the glimmer of potential and movement. The hope embedded in each stroke whispered a promise. She was exploring the contours of her own emotional landscape through the stories she had gathered, and it was profoundly beautiful. The night deepened, the shadows stretched longer, yet Mary found solace in the solitude of creation. With every line she traced, she became more attuned to her responsibility, the responsibility of guiding light while not losing herself in the process. Vulnerability pierced her confidence occasionally, yet she clung to the notion that authenticity could serve both her and her participants. Days passed in a blur of preparation, venue changes, and fostering connections online. Her mind buzzed constantly with ideas for the next workshop. Inspired by the outpouring from the last gathering, she decided to incorporate a new element, a segment dedicated purely to self-expression, where participants would be encouraged to produce art that reflected their fears and dreams unfiltered. However, as she finalized her plans, the undercurrent of fear resurfaced. The question of whether she could facilitate this next leap weighed heavily upon her. Mary envisioned participants revealing their innermost thoughts, and a part of her questioned her ability to maintain a safe space. What if someone couldn't handle the raw edges of their emotions? What if Isabella's experience replayed in ways she couldn't mitigate? Yet, within that insecurities lay the fertile ground for introspection. This time, it wasn't just about Mary guiding them, it was about her willingness to also be transformed. Each hesitation was a doorway through which she could explore her discomfort, a measure of her growth beyond professional aspirations. She jotted down her thoughts, acknowledging the tenderness of her own experience. In doing so, she confronted a troubling notion: the fear of inadequacy could become her greatest strength if transformed into authentic dialogue, inviting her participants to embrace uncertainty as part of the learning experience. Mary took a deep breath, embracing the tension that coursed through her. Empowerment and vulnerability coexisted now in her heart, a reminder that both are powerful aspects of her journey. In the morning light, she would gather strength to direct others, but for now, she would take refuge in the quiet of her studio, letting the questions linger as a precursor to her next chapter. Dawn brought with it the promise of new encounters, the thrill of fresh narratives layered over her own, and the prospect of facing her greatest fear, the possibility of failure. Would the next group resonate with her evolving purpose, or would they fall silent in their struggles, leaving her unprepared? She gripped her pencil tighter, anticipating the moment of revelation possibly lying just ahead. With the first rays of sunlight breaking through the Chicago skyline, Mary stood in her studio, poised for a journey that would reshape her life. The second workshop loomed before her, a testament to the personal evolution she had undertaken since her first gathering. Armed with the lessons of vulnerability, connection, and the genuine desire to inspire, she felt a renewed sense of assurance in her ability to facilitate growth not only for herself but for those who walked alongside her. As Mary prepared the space, arranging easels and pastel colors, the previous workshop echoed in her mind. It was more than just a meeting, it had been a powerful exchange, revealing the pulse of humanity and shared aspirations through art. This time, she was determined to cultivate that connection further, allowing participants to explore their fears and dreams through visual expression. When participants began to trickle in, she noticed a palpable excitement in the air. The energy felt different, less of an anxious anticipation and more of a shared commitment to explore the uncharted territories of their creative selves. Mary greeted them with a confident warmth, feeling the reassurance of their presence. Each smile reflected an understanding that they were here for more than just art, they had gathered to unearth stories and confront the depths of their souls. "Welcome, everyone. I'm thrilled to have you back," Mary said, her voice steady, embracing her role as a facilitator. "Today, we're going to dive deeper into our experiences, creating pieces that capture our fears and dreams without reservation. This is a space of safety and exploration." As she introduced the workshop theme, Mary felt a flicker of doubt, but this time she recognized it as the pressure of vulnerability she was committing to share openly. Would everyone connect deeply, or would her hopes face rejection? Overwhelmed by an urge to retreat, she reminded herself that her past struggle had transformed her voice into an instrument of hope. The exercises began, and she guided participants through prompts that encouraged free expression. Flourishes of color blurred into rich narratives expressing grief, joy, and the resilience that had shaped them. As she moved around the room, interacting with participants, Mary felt immense gratitude for the radical honesty unfolding before her. One participant, Sam, presenting raw pieces that depicted a tumultuous journey, revealed how he had recently experienced a significant loss. "This piece speaks of my struggle to find hope amid grief," he explained, his voice thick with emotion. Mary listened intently, and as she offered feedback, the barriers separating facilitator and participant dissolved. She spoke from the heart, allowing her journey into art and vulnerability to emerge, creating a space where others would feel emboldened to share. With each story told, the boundaries blurred further. They were not merely artists sharing their works but individuals exchanging pieces of their souls. Each brushstroke echoed Mary's own struggle to find her footing amidst uncertainty, solidifying in her mind that everyone had the power to wrestle with their fears and ultimately emerge renewed. As participants began to finish their pieces, Mary felt an undeniable progress brewing not only in their artwork but within her as well. The threads of her worries dissipated, replaced by acknowledgement of the profound change taking root. What began as a personal struggle had become an opportunity to uplift others through authenticity. When the workshop concluded, the room filled with energy, a mixture of satisfaction and fatigue. Mary could feel a shift in herself. The same uncertainty that once plagued her now felt diminished, replaced by something more powerful, self-acceptance. She stood before her participants, who expressed heartfelt gratitude for the space she had created. "Your courage inspires me," said Leo, one of the participants, as he highlighted how Mary's journey had connected profoundly with his own. "You showed us that vulnerability is strength, not a weakness." His words resonated deep within her heart, a validation of her artistic journey intertwined with the healing she facilitated. The evening culminated in a collective discussion that merged art and individual narratives, unraveling layers of courage and solidarity amidst shared experiences. Each participant took turns recounting how they had found connection, resilience, and courage in each other's stories. As Mary wrapped up, the whispers of change drifted in the room like a vibrant tapestry, interwoven with threads of each individual's truth. Months transitioned in a seamless flow, and Mary became known as a guiding light within her artistic community. She had transformed not only her connection with art but also how she navigated relationships among fellow creatives. Her workshops continued to flourish, birthing a space of unity that birthed a new perspective on vulnerability. Finally, at the cusp of a new chapter, Mary reflected on her journey as single mother navigating a world that often overlooked the complexities of life. She gazed at her latest creations lined across the studio, each canvas telling a story of struggle and triumph. She no longer simply created art as a means to escape, she engaged with her heart, translating her experiences into profound expressions. Convinced by her growth and the connections she had fostered, Mary finally made the bold decision to host an exhibition of her work that matched her newly minted confidence. Each piece would not only showcase her art but embody her journey, inviting viewers to immerse themselves in a story that could inspire others facing similar challenges. As the day of her exhibition approached, Mary felt an exhilarating rush of purpose infusing her existence. No longer reserved or plagued with doubt, she embraced the realization that she carried a resonant power, one that illuminated not just herself but those yearning to reclaim their stories. On the night of the exhibition, her heart brimmed with pride. She wasn't merely a single mother or an artist, she had become an advocate for those lost in a maze of fear and self-doubt. She had transformed her narrative into a symphony of resilience, and this journey was her legacy, written in colors that could never fade. Now, dear viewers, if you have witnessed Mary's incredible transformation, you need to subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that awaken the spirit. Don't wait even one more second to share this triumph with at least 5 friends who need to see and feel this powerful conclusion. Your support matters, and you have the power to uplift others. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and engage with our community toward even greater heights. We want to hear from you, so comment your reactions and theories about Mary's journey and share your own stories of overcoming challenges. Together, let us celebrate resilience and authenticity.